Looking at the steering wheel as well as the cluster screen inside of the Hyundai Ioniq 5. This is the regular 5 version of the vehicle. If you're in a 5N, the Performance Edition, you'll find a walkthrough for that version down in the description of this video. The steering wheel inside the vehicle might be heated depending on your trim. So just above the armrest, you've got a series of climate control buttons for the seats, etc. You've got a heated steering wheel button there, and it's heated with 2 unique levels, and that's heat all the way around. The steering wheel is also going to be manual telescoping inside the vehicle. So down by the left part of the column there by your left knee, there's a release. And you're just going to go in, out, up and down to find that perfect position. Once you find it, click it in order to lock it back into place. And there are so many different buttons and stalks, but we'll start off along the left-hand side. You've got this one in order to increase or decrease the brightness of the cluster screen. You can toggle traction control on or off, open or close the lift gate. There's also this one to open or close the charge door too, which is kind of neat. And then there's also the auto hold setting. So with the auto hold setting turned on, if you are in drive, you take your foot off the brake pedal, the vehicle is not going to move. So that's when you come down to a complete stop. So where that really comes into play is if you're stopped at a light, etc. Your electronic parking brake is there too. So all you're going to do, pull towards you in order to turn it on. Push and hold the brake pedal and push away in order to turn that electric parking brake off instead. You might have driver's seat memory inside the vehicle too. So what you're going to do, adjust your driver's seat the way that you'd like to. There are a series of switches available, dynamic based off of the trim that you're in, including the option of adjusting out your leg cushion there, which is so cool. Once you've got that set up the way that you'd like to, set up your side view mirrors the way that you'd like to as well. So you can go left versus right side. You have to be all the way over because if you're in the middle, nothing's going to happen. But you go left versus right, adjust out your mirror the way that you'd like to, and then you're going to push and hold either 1 or 2 for it to remember your own personal profile. So very useful if you've got multiple people driving the vehicle. And there are so many different buttons and stalks. So let's start off. Left-hand side here, you've got your turn signal with the possibility of getting the blind spot view monitoring system. Not standard across every trim, but it is a beautiful system. Utilizes the side-mounted cameras to show you your blind spot. But you've got your light controls here too. In the daytime, even at nighttime, so you push away, you go into an auto mode. That's if you've got auto set up inside of the infotainment system here. So under setup, vehicle, lights, and then you've got a few different things. So high beam assist is the big one there. And the other one is even your turn signal. So you can get 3 flashes as a default, so 1, 3, 5, or 7. But with your high beam assist there. So at nighttime, if the vehicle recognizes high beams are needed, it turns them on automatically. If somebody's oncoming, it turns them off before turning them right back on again. At nighttime, you can push away there to turn them on, but you're in that auto mode. You can go into the upper headlamp mode there, push away to turn those high beams on permanently, pull towards you in order to turn them off. So that's just one little quick thing that you can do there. Stock along the right-hand side here is going to be for your wipers. So one down is just going to be a quick wipe. If you go up a level, that's the auto mode. You can then use the little rocker switch in the middle there to control how fast or slow they're going, or go into some of those crazy modes. You're going to pull in towards you in order to get the front wiper fluid going, and then you've got controls here for your rear wiper. You're going to push away in order to get that rear wiper fluid going. The lower stock here is going to be your shifter, so a little shift-by-wire system. So foot on the brake pedal, you can go all the way up into drive, all the way down into reverse, lightly up as well, or lightly down to put yourself into neutral. And then there's a button on the tip of the stick in order to put yourself back into park instead. And then buttons along the outside here are going to be for cruise control. So the upper one here is to toggle the system on, but I'm parked, so the system's not going to work. When you're driving, what's going to happen is it's going to set you at whatever your current speed is. You have to be going at least 30 kilometers an hour, so 20-ish miles an hour for this to work. You could then increase, decrease your speed, 1 kilometer, 1 mile per hour at a time, push and hold up or push and hold down to increase, decrease at larger increments. You hit the brake pedal in order to pause your speed, push the button in the middle there in order to pause your speed, push again in order to resume your previously set speed. There's only a single type of cruise control available inside of the Ioniq 5, and that's the adaptive or the smart cruise control system. So when you have it set, if the car in front of you starts to slow down, yours will automatically brake. They change lanes, you change lanes, it'll pick you back up to your previously set speed again. And that's all based off of a distance indicator. So 4 unique levels. How close or far are you from the vehicle in front of you? Think of that like a 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi for how far close you are from that leading vehicle. I'm personally okay level 1 most of the time, but if you've got a slower reaction speed or you just want different safety, you can go to different levels there. So you can adjust it this way, but inside of the infotainment system, if you go to your vehicle setup there, vehicle, driver assistance, and then you've got driving convenience with cruise control. So you can have it automatically adjust smart cruise control based off of your driving style, but you can also control the distance this way if you'd like. You can control the acceleration, so how fast or slow does it accelerate, and then the reaction speed too. So how fast does it accelerate for you there too. So you can control these individual levels if you really want to, but like I said, you've only got that adaptive or smart cruise control system. You've got this button here too, so there are icons along the very top, so left versus right side. If you just do a light tap, that gets rid of the steering wheel icon. If you push and hold it, that gets rid of the lane markings. So the difference between the two, the long push and hold is the lane keep assist. So as long as the lane markings are recognized and those icons are green, if you start to veer over into another lane without signaling, it's actually going to nudge you back into your lane. Versus the light tap with the steering wheel, that's the lane follow assist. It's lane centering. It is a brilliant system. So the way that one works, as long as those lane markings are recognized, it's going to take you perfectly around bends and things like that. So it's not self-driving. You still do have to keep your hands on the steering wheel. But if you lose focus for a brief second, rubbernecking like an idiot, whatever the case may be, it's going to keep you perfectly around those bends and things like that. For my experience so far, 20, 30-ish seconds. But like I said, not self-driving. If you want a live demonstration, though, of actually using the system here, you'll find that down in the description of this video. You've also got these buttons here. Those are different pages buttons. I'll show you in just a second. Then you've got your drive mode selector. I love that you've got that flexibility. And as you jump between different drive modes, you can see what range is available. Eco mode is going to be for your just best possible economy. So on highways, if you're just cruising, keep yourself in eco mode. Normal is day-to-day driving. But you can see here, we've got min-max levels there too. So what your range is going to be. You've got your sport mode there, which is going to give you the best possible performance. There's My Drive, which is a customizable drive mode. And then your snow mode there too. It plays with traction control, stability control, etc. But I mean, in a nutshell here with these different options, so your basic one in the middle there is based off of the way that conditions are right now. That's how far you're going to be able to get. Maximum is, let's say if your climate control was turned off, you were fully charged up. Minimum is the minimum you're going to get based off of that charge with the worst case scenario. So if the weather is extremely hot, extremely cold, you've got all of your climate control settings going, USB plugged in with a camera, things like that. That's going to be your min-max levels there. You've got a series of different buttons here too. So your mode button and then this one are custom buttons. I'll show you in a second. You've got an up-down switch here too in order to change between all of your presets that you've got set up, or you can push and hold up or push and hold down for it to act as a seek button instead. There's a voice command prompt with a crazy number of options here. Vehicle commands, you can adjust your climate if you'd like to. You can open and close the windows, open the tailgate, turn the heated steering wheel on, things like that. There are so many things. So what I'd actually recommend is when you get your Ioniq 5, go through the options here because there are so many things that you can do with your voice. If you were hooked up for an Android and iPhone, you could do a long push and hold in order to activate your Siri Google Assistant. With no phone set up, that would launch into the flexibility of being able to set a phone up. You can answer or hang up on a phone call, and there's also a volume rocker there. You can push in the middle in order to mute out your audio that way too. Just above the top part of the steering wheel here, you've got this tiny little cutout. There are cameras that are essentially watching your eyes as you drive to make sure you're actively looking at the road. You do have the flexibility of being able to toggle that system off though. Inside of the infotainment system, if you go to your setup, vehicle, driver assistance, driver attention warning, you've got your forward attention warning there. So that's the one that's going to disable those cameras so that you're not going to get messages as you drive if you've got glasses on. So are you paying attention or looking forward, I should say, yay or nay? There's also leading vehicle departure. So if you are driving and the car in front of you, like you come to a complete stop, the car in front of you starts to drive and you haven't started moving, you're going to get a little notification telling you that you should be paying attention. And then back to the cluster screen, you've got your speedometer along the left-hand side, tachometer-ish along the right side. I'll explain that one in just a second. parking brake if the vehicle's ready to drive, the outside temperature, whatever gear you're currently in, and when you're in gear, so it's at a park, if you've got the sensing system there, you can also see which sensors are available there too. Along the very bottom, you've got your range done a few different ways, along with your current regen braking level. So as we go between different levels, so you've got 0, 1, 2, 3, or I-pedal, which is the one pedal drive. So you take your foot off the accelerator pedal and you slow down very, very rapidly. And then if you go the opposite way, so essentially the further out you go, so left versus right, so 1, 2, 3, so 3 is going to be a high regen braking level versus 1 or 0, next to no regenerative braking. So 0 is no regenerative braking, so you take your foot off the accelerator pedal and you coast like a regular gas car. If you push and hold that right pedal though, that's going to put you into this auto mode. And that essentially means the vehicle is going to determine what the regen braking level is based off of your current driving habits. And you can just push and hold the right paddle in order to put yourself into the regular mode or the auto mode there instead. And then you've got your current odometer along the very bottom, whether or not you've got different safety settings enabled, disabled, etc. You do have the flexibility of being able to customize the screen a little bit too. Inside of the infotainment system, if you go to setup there, or by tapping setup down here, that brings you up to this screen. If you go to your screen layout right now, you've then got a few different looks that are available. So there's simple, modern, or classic available there too. I'm personally a bigger fan of classic because as you go between your different drive modes, like you get to that sport mode, that just looks beautiful. But I mean, with that gauge there, it works the exact same way, which regardless of whichever style that you've got. So you've got your charge gauge there. So as you go to brake, you'll notice that your charge gauge drops this way. So it's essentially regen braking, trying to recapture that charge versus the power gauge here. Think of that like a traditional tachometer. It's how much power are you using? And again, it's the same basic setup across all three looks, but you can also lock it into an individual style. So maybe you absolutely love the look of the sport mode, but you like the economy that you get in the eco mode. So you've got the flexibility of permanently locking it in to any of the available modes here too. I just think that personally, linking into the drive mode makes the most sense for me. And then you've got your two buttons along the outside here. So pages and then your little scroll wheel. If you ever get any messages inside of the cluster screen, you can push the button there in order for it to act as an OK button. But when you go to the pages button, you've got 3 individual main pages there. And then on some of these pages, you've got additional sub pages that are available there too. So starting off on our main page, you've got your current trip. So that's from the last time the vehicle was turned on. This is the distance that you've gotten. Going down an individual level is how far have you gotten after charging. And then this is your since last reset. So this one here is going to reset after you turn the vehicle off and then back on again. This one after you've charged up. And then this one, think of your total trip 1 counter. You can reset any of these too. So all you're going to do, you take your little OK button there, see there, push and hold OK in order to recenter it again. Then you'll notice a little notch in the middle there. That's going to essentially be your total economy level. So what have you gotten? So as of right now, 19 liters per 100, which is right in the middle where 19 would be. And down from there, you've got your current range. So how far can you get? There are minimum versus maximum gauges everywhere, which also adjust out based off of the drive mode that you're currently in. So where these min-max gauges really come into play. So you're at least going to get this amount of charge. You're going to maximum get this amount of charge, but that's going to be based off of your driving habits. If you've got climate going, so heated seats, ventilated seats, if you've got your AC or heat on full, you're essentially going to use up more battery, which means that your range is going to be worse. If you're speeding excessively, braking, speeding up constantly, etc., your range is going to get slightly worse. So you can kind of see a real-time counter of how far you should get. If you want the best possible economy, you want to keep yourself in that eco mode. If you want a little bit more fun, go into that sport mode, but you can see live how things are going to be as you move between all of the different drive modes, which I love that fact that Hyundai's got that available as an option inside of their lineup. Drop down another level to see your tire pressure. You can adjust that out in the infotainment system. I'll show you in a second, but you have to actively be driving in order to be able to display that information. And then you've also got your power distribution. So you can see which axle is getting which amount of power. This is the all-wheel drive model, which is why we've got front and back. You just have back otherwise if you were in the rear-wheel drive model. You've got your route option available there too. So if you've got an active route going, so your compass view is there as a default, But with an active route going, that's going to push not full mapping cluster into the vehicle, but you've at least got some turn-by-turn directions that are available when you've got an active route going. So, then you can also see the distance before your next turn there too. Then you can push again in order to get to your driving assistance page. So with the driving assistance page, when you've got different systems turned on, etc., these icons will go green. So if the lane markings are recognized, and then on the highway, you'll notice these go green with the option for that lane change assist system. So if the vehicle recognizes lane change is available, you've got an additional icon there. Tap the turn stalk to go left or right in order to change lanes. But as somebody enters the blind spot on either side of the vehicle, it's going to highlight on either side, letting you know if a car has entered the blind spot on that side. Some versions of the Ioniq 5 also have a head-up display, and you've got the flexibility inside of the infotainment system to adjust things out inside of the head-up display. So you can toggle the head-up display off completely if you'd like to, but you can also adjust some things. You can have it sit higher or lower. You can also rotate it left or right, just depending on how you sit on your seat. You can adjust the brightness inside of the head-up display there too, and I always recommend just going maximum brightness. And then you can also display what content. So do you want your turn-by-turn directions showing up there? So if you've got a route going, do they show up, yes or no? Do you want your media showing up? So as you go between all of your different presets or stations, etc., as you go, does the album artwork that's available show up? And then if somebody's entered the blind spot on either side, it also pops up inside of your head-up display there too. Inside of the infotainment system, you go to your setup again, swipe across to your general settings, and then you've got your measurement units. So do you want to be in either kilometers or miles? You can see it adjusts absolutely everything for us. And then you can also adjust out. Actually, if we go, turn climate on, whether you're in Celsius or Fahrenheit there. If you're in kilometers, the measurement that you're probably going to be used to is kilowatt hour per 100. So it's going to be the equivalent, I would say, of like either miles per gallon, which would be the default for miles anyways. And then you've got your kilometers. So that would be the liters per 100 measurement that you're typically used to seeing with internal combustion vehicles. And then you can also adjust out your tire pressure unit. So do you want to be in PSI, KPA, or bar? Out to the side here, you've got a series of different buttons to get to individual pages of the infotainment system. So you can hot button press for your searches, for media, for setup, etc. And then you've got your custom button. So your custom button there, and then the two that are on the steering wheel here. So in order to customize these two, what you're going to do, go into your setup page, and then click on buttons. And then you've got your two custom buttons there. So your steering wheel icon there, what does that one do? Does it toggle the display off, go to your home screen, etc.? So I've got it so that it puts the screen into a calming mode instead. Your mode button is going to be all the sources that you listen to. So do you listen to AM, FM, Sirius XM, etc.? So whatever sources you tend to listen to, check them off there. So now, as you go between your different modes, it's going to change you between the different modes there. And then your up-down steering wheel tuners there. All of your climate control settings are baked right in here. No haptic feedback there, but as mentioned, you can control that using your voice. Adjust your fan speed, going to your windshield face feet. You've got your front defroster, rear defroster, air circulation, and then sync. So if the passenger side is set to something different, you could then sync it up to whatever the driver's side is. You've got a USB port down there, and that's for either strictly charging or for charging and for data transfer. The 12-volt power point down there too. Wireless charge pad with some cup holders. And then you've also got a few other basic controls here. So heated first row seats are standard pretty much across the board, but you've also got the option for ventilated. Heated steering wheel button is going to be down there. There's a button here in order to get to your available camera. So you can go front versus rear. You'll always have your rear camera. Front camera is not standard, but then there's also your surround view monitor set at full 360 view, so you can see what's going on all the way around you. You can take that same button as well for the vehicle to be able to help out with park assist. So parallel perpendicular parking. It's a beautiful system. If you want to walk through a video on using park assist, you'll find that in the description of this video. There's also the option of toggling that beeping system on or off, so as you get closer to obstacles. And then down low there, you've also got a few USB Type-C power points, and those are strictly power points, so there's no charging support on those lower ports. I know that was a lot of information, but that's everything you need to know about the steering wheel, cluster screen, and head-up display inside of the Hyundai Ioniq 5.